I'm a worker poet. My poetry begins at 4 in the morning and ends at 6 at night. I'm a worker poet, forged in the noise and creaking of machines.
I think working class culture is the expression of the most exploited people about how they see themselves, how they see their situation. And in a way they're beginning to make images about themselves which contradicts the usual images of workers which we see in the dominant culture. Always workers are seen in the back seat and lacking initiative. But working class culture actually gets to grips with the real issues in workers' lives, get to grips with the way workers are addressing their situation, and shows that workers are a major force in our society and that workers are working to change the society and to change the relations between people. At the first level, workers are dealing with their own immediate issues, a particular strike, a particular struggle, and they're trying to take that message out to wider layers, to the community, to gain support for that particular struggle. At another level, workers are dealing with the broad policies of COSATU and beginning to tell the community what democratic trade unionism is all about, taking a message to unorganized workers that progressive trade unions is the weapon to use to change the conditions of exploitation which they face. But I think there's even a bigger message coming from workers, and that is that we want to see a new society, and a new society which actually gives credit to workers for the important contribution they're making, and that we should work now to build a new society in which people would relate differently. There wouldn't be oppression and exploitation.
We are fighting for our rights in this land. We're fighting for democracy. We are fighting for our freedom forever and evermore. We are fighting for our freedom forever and evermore. We shall not be moved away. In our land, solidarity. We shall not be moved away. In our land, solidarity. To be united is to be strong. A luta continua. To be united is to be strong. A luta continua. Ziya, hamba naleliso. Sofuna umaegiso. Ziya, Sizonqoba sesimunye Sitibuya Maibuye iAfrika Sitibuya Maibuye iAfrika.
When you sing this song, it has an appeal to the majority of the people. It can be easily grasped and understood by the people of that situation, because it does not just talk about personal life of the person who sings it or recite the poem, but it talks about the experiences of the majority of the people under repression and exploitation. When people come together, workers come together in a congress, for instance, those different traditions from African traditional ways of life, wherever they come from, they interact with the present situation of exploitation and repression in South Africa, which is forced upon us by this capitalism. And out of that new surrounding, a new culture emerges, which we call today working class culture. We are now calling and claiming our own heritage. We are now saying this is working class culture, and it has to come back and feed and promote the working class politics, chiefly working class politics under organized labor movements like COSATU.
The growth of COSATU from the late 70s provided the organizational base for the beginnings of a working class culture. One of the worker movement's first popular poets was a worker from Dunlop in Durban, Alfred Qabula.
Masebenzi ngubani nalo maye nikhalenze ngubani nalo nhluphayo balekelani kulelo hlathi ihlathi elimnyama labonwa ngabaqashi balibalekela imvukuzane eyabona zimpipi zabaqashi iza kancane ngomgwaqo iphikelele ngasezibonini sagijima satshela abaqashi sathi basi thina bukile lo mvukuzane buya no side no factory thina. Wakhala umqashi wathi, hey, my boy, what is a mvukuzane? Mvukuzane is one of COSATU's union. Muhle muntu, mina zakhela wena 6-room house lapha, homeland ka wena. Tata nakulo machine gun. Vala lo gate. Lo skati wena buka yena, bulala yena. Lo skati lo union ngena lo site la factory kathina. Yena zothatha zonke lo masheze nika lo basebenzi. Viva msebenzi.
Qabula's performances were an example to other workers. Malizi Nyogantanzi, who works at KwaSithebe in KwaZulu, had always recited traditional poetry, but his experiences as a worker transformed his poetry.
Ngale ngesikhathi la sine general meeting la eColors Fountain la ngabona khona uQabula wasethi nase sine general meeting goal ngase ngiqala ke namthi ngenze ngoba ngabona ukuthi kuyangena kulezi abasebenzi izinto ezifana nalezi ngase ngiyeka lezi abaZulu ngoba ngibona ukuthi ayifiti kakhulu ngaphe lokweni kulezi abasebenzi ikwaZulu yodwa ngoba izinto zakaZulu zizodwa ngapho abasebenzi bomzabalazo abasebenzi ngoba kwaZulu nje la ngeke uwenze into yabaZulu la imisebenzi usoyenza imisebenzi maye basebenzi babengahambisani nalo kwase kuba ngiphoqa ukuthi ngifuna izinkondlo eziqonde nomzabalazo wodwa kuphela
khawusa umzi omkhulu wabasebenzi
khawusa umkhulu ngoba udide ubhoda ehlele esihlalweni wadida ngisho nezingcelebane kabhoda wadida ngisho umsheshelengana bakabhoda wadida ngisho nezimakwane kabhoda wadida ngisho noregrans uqobo wadida ngisho namabhunukazi akhe ubhoda la ngibone khona khawusa ukuthi umkhulu ngikubone ubamba isiteleka sakho kwazama umhlaba kwathula khawusa umkhulu bakho khawusa ngibone kutatazela upick and pay layeswa isiteleka sa-okay engoba u-okay wathi upick and pay hayi ngiyawesaba khawusa wathi woza khawule khawusa I give you all you need. I give you May 1. I give you June 16, public holiday. I give you 100 land. I not to quarrel with you, Kausa. So now,
Workers from the rural areas of Southern Africa bring a range of traditional influences into the culture of South Africa's working class.
Workers have been controlled mainly through the migrant labor system, which controls their movement from the rural areas to the mines, and then control their stay at the mine through the form of hostels and dunas and so on. And culturally, management have always attempted, even up to today, to place workers in hostels along ethnic lines, and have then encouraged those so-called ethnic groupings to develop certain organizational forms through which they can express that culture.
I like the fact it's an expression of the natural culture of these tribes, and it's sort of seeing the African as an unspoiled person instead of being Europeanized.
I like it. I like the beat. The beat.
You like the beat?
Yeah.
It's the best free entertainment you can get in the world.
Mines have encouraged these groups by arranging competitions between mines to carry on with, say, Zulu tribal dance competitions, etc. And it's only now that we are seeing workers beginning to break out of that controlled form of culture. And what we are definitely encouraging is that workers must produce their cultural activities as mine workers and not as Zulu mine workers or as Sotho mine workers. We believe that what unites workers are much more than what divides them. And even those ethnic differences that may exist have always been overemphasized by management. And we believe that what is emerging now is a workers' culture and not an ethnic culture in any way.
With South Africa's broadcast media under strict state control, Most cultural forms, even popular music, are restricted by the workings of the South African system. But culture in a revolutionary situation finds other outlets. The militant culture of the youth that swept the country with the uprisings of 1984 to 86 was the beginning of an ongoing challenge to all forms of control. COSATU workers, building on the gains of the youth, fought a series of strikes that have inspired a surge of cultural production. When Clover Dairies fired 168 workers in June 1986, workers told the story of their strike in a play.
Most of our struggles have often involved a dismissal at some stage, and I think many of our most noted plays produced in the labor movement have come from that situation. In that period, workers have again organized and said, what can we do to build a struggle? What can we do in this time which we have while we're dismissed to reach out to other people and let them know about the exploitation we're facing and the kind of struggles we are waging.
My people, I've heard your cries, and how do you suffer from this brutality of these capitalists? Comrades, our hardship shall never end. The only solution is to join the union. We must join the union. No, boss. I was not talking. I was trying to tell my brother to help me to take this big kind of trip. Comrades, we must join the union. Now is the time we must join the union. Join us. Join us, join us. Hey, join us. Join us. Join us. Hey, join us. Join us. Hey, join us. Hey, join us. Hey, join us. Hey, join us. Join us. Hey, join us. Hey.
Basebenzi, sine meeting njengamanje la e-platform, okay? Sanibona basebenzi? Yeah. I'm happy to see my workers smiling like this. I want to tell you the law of this company. Ningacabangi ukuthi enkampani le yasemakhabonyo. Flani nwazi umthetho wenkampani.
Viva msebenzi, viva! Viva! Viva msebenzi, viva! Viva! I-Afrika! Mayibuye! I-Afrika! Mayibuye! Amandla! Await! Is this the way how you make your meetings?
Umini manager la.
To say you're a manager means nothing. You must respect the structures.
Umini manager la.
You cannot make the meeting without consulting us shop stewards.
Umini manager la.
South African This is high time now you know about democracy in South Africa. Let's go back to work. Thank you.
bengibiza meeting yabasebenzi ofile ayidisturb le meeting ngakho-ke kusukela njengamanje umsebenzi uyaphelela kosuka lokho phansi ijoka bayaqala labasebenzi
ukuthi sasifuna ukuthi kwazi umphakathi ukuthi isimo esaxoshwa ngaso nanokuthi kufunakala kubonakale indlela ukuthi saphuma kanjani sakubona ukuchitha isikhathi ukuthi saka ama sticker nama pamphlet ngani ngoba ma kukhona ipamphlet awunakubuza kumuntu kungcono makuyi play uyakwazi ukuthi ofuna ukwazi umchazisele kabanzi.
Even if other critics outside will say the play or the poem is a flop, it is in actual not a flop because it has been able to stimulate, it has gone through the process which are controlled by the shop floor workers, which is the greatest principle which has made COSATU to what COSATU is today, that principle of worker democracy. Even during its formation, there are steps that are taken which are linked directly to the workers at shop floor. And they give it also a mandate. Then there is a workshop with those comrades which are appointed to take part in that workshop.
Qonda, a play by 3 COSATU workers from Durban, is a reaction to activities of right-wing vigilantes in Natal townships.
I hate Hokoda. I'm so sick I made these are the people that must join them. These are my friends of mine. Yes, I'm on Marco. Yes. Go sit ready for what? Yes. Money. Pay on so bad. I'm so one time was I say. So yes.
Abantu abaningi njengoba sebe join ama vigilante hayi ngoba bethanda abanye bajoiniswa ngenkane ngokuthi ufuna uhlele endlini unike umshiza kuthiwa aphuma kuhambe yoshaya abantu ungazi ukuthi abantu uyokwenzani lapho kulapho okwenza ngakho into abantu kuze bona bathi amabutho manini mhlambe mabili mathathu okubona abamabutho kodwa iningi labo abantu abangathandi kuyoshaya basi
yithi ngapha nithi sinkathazo phela inganje yidwafu yithi kusawucaka kuthi kushaya uAugustina lo siya kuyena ngoba secacile uthi lasta ngoba secacile ngoba phela uyabona thina sincindile
Ngizwa ngithini? Sase sishayida sikanihlanga la. Uzophela Spain. Sibamba phela seyidudule. Sishonse ngala, sishonse ngala. Ungitshela kazi, ngiyazi kahle. Phela uthonakele. Hayi, hey umadoda angatheli isikhathi. Hayi, amilanga selo. Hayi kumnandi yabona nje. Selahle kunina manje. Ake ngasi, ake ngizwe lokho wethu. Nilephi nina? Phela uyazi awuboni kahle la eminyango kulenga ongaqonde kahle la Durban. Ngiyabona ukuthi niyasebenza abasebenzi kepha nilephi. Hayi mina ngisendaweni ephephile impela. Funa cala. Peaceful movement. Ukhosathu. Sasha. Uyabonaka kunina seshini. Uzwa ngithi seshile ngini. Yini kanye impela la besifuna uqala kunina siklina. Ngoba lula sokhayela kubelula kahle bomso sokhakubelula impela kodwa ngichithele isikhathi sakho angikho lapho ngizoshayela uvela uchithela insizwa la awungitshela siyacabanga ukuthi singase mhlambe in future siyithola inkinga ngoba lento le asikhulumi ngento mhlambe engekho nje ngathi khuluma into eyenzekayo so angeke sikwazi ngengikwazi ukubeka kakhulu ukuthi yini inkinga sesahlangabezana nayo kodwa into esibona la ukuthi ya inkinga yona into esingase sibe nayo yabona abantu bona abama vigilante most of them ba my neighbors yabo and bazi ukuthi si amalungu enhlangano njengoba ukhosathu laba and ube bazameke ukus attack ngalo ndlela ukuthi samalungu elokhuzana ukhosathu kodwa bebengakho awe ukuthi sekhona into enjengalena edlala ekhuluma ngabo Kubeka futhi. Zayifuna ingazazo lezi zinto lezi. Damn it. Yawuzonga nyamfasendini. Shit. Go. Fula. Wasibuza bani? Wasibuza thina. Yini wena bona? Khuluma nabo. Bethe sobantu. Speak English. Khuluma nabo. Yeah. Hey, força usikhitha lesikhathi. Sifuna ukubona la ekhaya. Uyena Osala. Lona sizomfaka emselelo. Just bring the house first. Basha. Petrol bomb. It's us today.
The murder of leading Samco strikers Simon Ngubane and Phineas Ziya by vigilantes was a blow to working class culture. These comrades had been central to the development of co-ops and a play about the Samco struggle.
Workers, why don't you go back to work? Why? No reply, no work. No reply, no work. Oh shit! It's got a problem again. What must I do?
Dismissed workers started cooperatives that printed T-shirts, cultivated crops, and popularized their strike in the play called The Long March.
Maggie, you are wrong. Politics and economics is one and the same thing. I told you that before. Each time we talk about democracy and reform in South Africa, I suffer. That is your part. You are part of it. What is this bullshit? What is this Commonwealth pressure against South Africa? Do you know what it means to my son God? It means I must close down in 6 months. Maggie, is that why I made you Prime Minister of Britain? Maggie, you are getting soft to make it, damn it. You are getting soft to finish
In Popomeni, the small township where strikers live, preparations for a cultural celebration are underway. After 2 years on strike, workers from die castings in Pinetown have been reinstated. Today, they will celebrate their victory with the Samco strikers.
Sees the way. Judah sees the way. I'm not okay. Because Amanda. Thank you. Safa sapeli sizwe simnyama. Ukajane sizwe sama pono. Masiteliko kelizethu zisilegele kulolutaba. Sapeli sizwe simnyama. Ukajane sizwe sama pono. Masiteliko kelizethu zisilegele kulolutaba. Sapeli sizwe simnyama. Ukajane sizwe sama pono. Masiteliko kelizethu zisilegele kulolutaba.
Working class culture often reflects the ideas and debates that are current in the liberation movement. At COSATU's Second National Congress, one of the most important debates was around the Freedom Charter and socialism.
Our long-term objectives.
Comrade, in our resolution, we have highlighted clearly why do we adopt the Charter. We adopt the Charter not just as a paper or just as a document. We see it as a program of our struggle.
We are urging COSATU to adopt the Freedom Charter and also to commit itself to building socialism.
We have a destiny, comrade, and that is why we adopt the Charter as a base, comrade, of the democratic society that we need.
I think, Comrade, it is quite a sensitive subject we are dealing with now. And it's also an important subject because it's determining the future of this federation.
It's to bring the Charter to life, to get it into our lives. That's what's important, Comrade Chair.
To end COSATU's second Congress, cultural workers from all over the country participated in a cultural rally.
Culture is about making images about ourselves that tells us more about our lives, tells us about the details, about the patterns and the systems where we fit in, what makes us the people we are, and it also tells us about the people we'd like to be. And I think this is why working class culture is giving clearer direction to COSATU as an organization of the working class, but it will also carry this clearer direction and this clearer view of society to other organizations. Ultimately, what we are struggling for in our organizations and in culture is a much deeper understanding of democracy, deeper understanding of what it means to be human.
Why are you giving it to me like that today?
I'm cross. I'm unhappy. You know, you've been continuing with this strike of yours. We are the ones that must struggle in the house. There's hardly food for us to eat. What is going to happen? One of these days we'll be out of our house because there's no money coming in. You know, when our children get sick, there's no money for the doctor.
Rwanish, just listen here. There is something about GM on the newspaper. GM workers return. This morning, the majority of the striking workers returned to their jobs to meet the ultimatum set by GM management. Those who have not returned will have to reapply. GM further indicates that 200 workers, that is caps, have applied for jobs in response to the advertisement set by GM management in last week's newspapers.
You see, others are going back to take your work. You better see that you also go back.
We were united until the bosses, the press, and the TV came to confuse us.
That's why our comrades went back to the factory. We know times are very hard. But what are conditions like inside the factory now? Management is still continuing to exploit us. Those inside the factory and those still on strike.
I said no reason why the people must move on their stand to go in there, because they are still going to suffer inside there also.
We know production is suffering, and we know they need our skills.
They panic, but they say they have enough people. Why they don't produce the production then?
We have set up street and area committees. Police have detained some of us, but this will not deter us. We are continuing to build our committees.
We continue to hold meetings. We continue to act democratically. We stand by our demands.
We have all learned that management does not protect workers. The state does not protect workers. Comrades, we must protect ourselves. Mine workers, metal workers, chemical workers, textile workers, construction workers. Our struggle today will be your struggle tomorrow. We must fight to protect our rights now. Disinvestment must harm profits. It must not harm workers. An injury to one, a victory for one, we shall win. Long live Basatu.
South Africa, comrades, you have two different cultures. I want to risk saying this, that we have a ruling class culture that is controlled by the capitalists and the racist rulers like the governments and other and bosses, of course. That is called a ruling class culture, a culture that is designed to stifle and suppress the working class and the working class elements, those people who want to change the situation, the setup, those people who want to make sure that oppression and exploitation ends in South Africa. Then you have working class culture, which we are going to talk about now. The working class culture, the culture that comes from the people, the culture that says no to the exploitation, no to the oppression, but most the culture that expresses our situation, the nature of politics here in South Africa. There is a need, taking what happened during our Culture Day, for us to go on now to set up structures, to set up forums that will be able to accommodate our cultural creativity and initiative. We must start to formulate first the culture units, what we call a culture unit from the local point of view, from our local structures, so that in Joburg you have a culture local or a culture unit, in Durban, in Johannesburg, and ultimately wherever we have structures, wherever we have locals, you have these culture units.
Samanda, ini Samanda, ini Samanda, sitetelele. Samanda, ini Samanda, ini Samanda, sitetelele. Samanda, ini Samanda, ini Samanda, sitetelele. Kubona tini, sesingelile, kunzima, kulam samanasi. Kubona tini, sesingelile, kunzima, kulam samanasi.
I've seen countless horizons filled with crimson suns. I've seen dust settle over battlefields and rise again. I've seen graves of children who died before they lived. I've seen worlds without end. I'm the prisoner of my eyes. I've heard the leaders of stature and simplicity. I've heard the roar of gunfire bursting through my ears. I've heard the rattling of trains taking workers to the pits of slavery. I've heard freedom songs on the breath of the night wind. I've heard defiant slogans shouted above the thunder of Caspers. I'm a prisoner of my ears. From this liberation, this compelling freedom of sound and sight, I speak to you.